Welcome to Learn and Talk English. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into how to sound like a native English speaker.
It's a popular topic. Yeah.
We're actually going to be basing this deep dive on our video lesson, How to Sound Like a Native English Speaker. And you can find that linked in the description.
Awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of people, they learn the vocabulary, they learn the grammar, but they still kind of have this accent that gives them away as not being a native speaker.
Right.
So our mission today is to uncover those secrets to really sounding natural.
Yeah, because it is something that a lot of people strive for, to really sound like they belong, in that English-speaking environment.
Yeah, it's like the secret handshake.
Exactly.
You can know all the rules, but if you don't have the secret handshake, then
You're not in the club.
yeah, you're not part of the, part of the in-group,
Right.
So yeah, pronunciation I think is overlooked by a lot of English learners.
It is, and it's really unfortunate because, think about it this way. Pronunciation is that bridge between the speaker and the listener. If that bridge is shaky, it's going to be difficult to get your message across clearly and confidently.
Yeah, okay, let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
The video emphasizes, shaping sounds correctly.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me because it's like there's this physicality to pronunciation.
There is.
It's not just, hearing the sounds, but your tongue has to be in a certain place.
Yeah.
Your lips have to be doing a certain thing.
Absolutely. It's like learning a musical instrument. You need to train your muscles to produce the right notes. And with pronunciation, it's the same thing. You're training your tongue, your lips, even your breath to create those distinct English sounds.
So the video suggests practicing in front of a mirror and recording ourselves. So it's like having a personal pronunciation coach.
Exactly. And what's interesting about that is the self-awareness that it cultivates. By seeing and hearing yourself, you can identify those areas that need improvement. You can celebrate your progress. And it turns practice into a much more objective and engaging experience.
Yeah, and speaking of practice, interacting with native speakers was emphasized as being extremely valuable.
Oh, absolutely. If
Yeah.
we connect this to the bigger picture, immersion is where the magic happens. You're absorbing the natural rhythm, the intonation, the slang that you just won't get from a textbook.
It's like learning to swim.
Yeah.
You can read all of the books in the world about swimming, but until you get in the water,
You're not going to learn.
you're not going to really learn,
Exactly. And when you are immersed in the language, you start to pick up on those subtle cues that textbooks often miss, like the way native speakers link words together, the stress patterns in sentences, even the slight variations in pronunciation based on context.
Yeah, the video also encourages us to view corrections from native speakers as golden learning opportunities, rather than seeing it as like, oh, they're criticizing me.
Right. It's a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing corrections as criticisms, we can view them as personalized lessons. Each correction brings us closer to sounding more natural and confident.
Yeah, speaking of listening, the video stresses active listening, really tuning into the music of English. It stresses its intonation, its pace.
It's like listening to a song. You not only pay attention to the lyrics, but you also pay attention to the melody, the rhythm, the emotion conveyed by the singer's voice. Similarly, with English, we need to tune into those elements to really grasp its nuances.
Yeah, and we can do that through podcasts, through TV shows, through movies. All of these become like our language teachers.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is that this kind of passive immersion can actually rewire our brains to process the sounds of English more naturally. It's like training our ears to hear the language the way native speakers do.
Here's something that I thought was interesting that the video recommended: studying mouth movements.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that might sound a little strange.
It might sound unusual, but it taps into a very powerful learning mechanism: visual observation. By observing how native speakers shape their lips and tongues for different sounds, we can start to internalize those movements ourselves.
It's like watching a slow-motion replay of a tennis serve. You can see all the little minute details
Exactly.
that go into making that powerful shot.
And with mouth movements, we start to notice the precise coordination of the lips, tongue, and breath. That produce those distinct English sounds.
Yeah, and the video gives a great example of this by contrasting the thought sound in think versus the D sound in drink.
Right. And it's such a subtle difference in tongue placement,
Yeah.
but it completely changes the sound.
Yeah, it's amazing how these small little adjustments can make a big difference. And on that note, the video also challenges this idea of a single native English accent.
Right, because English is spoken in countless ways around the world, each with its unique beauty and nuances.
So the video recommends choosing an accent model that aligns with your goals. So, for example, if you're working in an international environment, maybe a more neutral accent would be beneficial.
It's about finding the right accent for your specific context. And it doesn't mean erasing your own accent entirely, but it's about developing the flexibility to adapt your pronunciation as needed.
It's like adding more tools to your toolbox.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can pull out the right tool for the right job.
Exactly. And one technique that can be incredibly helpful for this is mimicry. The video explains that imitation is a natural way to learn language. Children learn their native languages by imitating their parents and caregivers.
So they recommend picking a native English speaker that you admire. Could be an actor, a public speaker, even, a character from a TV show or a movie, and really study their speech patterns.
Find your English idol.
Yeah, your English idol.
And use their speech as a model for your own.
Now, it's not about mimicking perfectly, but it's about training your ear and your vocal muscles to reproduce those sounds more naturally.
Exactly. And this brings us to two crucial elements of natural-sounding English: pace and contractions.
Okay.
The video points out that speaking too slowly or avoiding contractions can make someone sound less fluent. It's about finding that comfortable flow and rhythm.
So contractions are like these little shortcuts
Exactly.
that we use to make our speech more fluid.
I'm instead of I am, there instead of they are. These little shortcuts that make our speech flow more smoothly.
And they just roll off the tongue so much easier
It do.
when you're speaking.
Absolutely.
And the video recommends also incorporating some slang and idioms.
Yeah, a bit of slang can add color and personality to your speech, but it's important to be mindful of the context.
Yeah, like what you might say with your friends. Might not be appropriate to say in a business meeting.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the nuances of language and when to use certain expressions.
Yeah, so it's not just knowing the words, but it's knowing like the culture behind the words.
The unspoken rules, the subtle meanings that give language its richness and depth.
Yeah, it's like unlocking the secret code
Exactly.
to really understanding and connecting with people you know.
It's about moving beyond textbook English and into the realm of authentic communication.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from shaping sounds and active listening, to the importance of mimicry and using language that's appropriate for the context. Are you ready to delve even deeper into sounding like a native English speaker?
Absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
Okay, great. Well, let's dive in.
Let's talk about practice. The video really hammered this point home.
Yeah, consistent practice is key, right?
Absolutely.
You're not going to get there overnight.
You're not going to wake up one morning and suddenly sound like a native speaker.
You got to put in the work.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. And the video encourages, make English a part of your daily life. So talk to yourself out loud, read out loud, sing along to English songs.
Find those ways to integrate practice into your daily routine. Make it enjoyable. Make it a part of your life.
And it doesn't have to feel like a chore, right?
Right, it can be fun. It can be fun.
Especially if you find activities that you enjoy.
Exactly.
And speaking of integrating the video, also encourages us to seek help from teachers, tutors, friends who are native speakers.
Yeah, and that's something I think a lot of people struggle with. Asking for help.
I think so too.
It's like there's this fear.
Why do we shy away from asking for help?
It's like we don't want to seem incompetent.
Right, we're afraid of being judged for our mistakes.
Yeah. Or like, maybe they'll think less of us or something.
But the truth is, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
It shows that you really want to improve.
Exactly. It shows a commitment to learning, a willingness to grow.
Yeah. And, you can get feedback from others that can be really valuable because sometimes we don't even hear our own mistakes.
Right, we need that outside perspective to pinpoint those areas that we might not even be aware of.
Yeah, and the video emphasizes that, the ultimate goal isn't to completely erase your accent. That's a crucial point. It's not about losing our identity. It's about gaining flexibility and confidence in how we express ourselves in English.
It's about having more tools in your toolbox.
Yeah.
You can speak in different ways depending on the situation.
It's like broadening your communication skills, feeling more comfortable navigating different linguistic landscapes.
I love that linguistic landscapes. That's a great way to put it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you can kind of code switch. You can adapt to different situations. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the video does a fantastic job of breaking down this process.
Yeah.
And making it feel achievable.
Yeah, and one thing that really stood out to me was that connection between pronunciation and confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you feel good about how you sound,
We're going to project that
Yeah,
confidence.
you're going to be more likely to speak up.
You're more likely to engage in conversations, share your ideas, build stronger connections with others.
And it's like that feeling when you put on an outfit and you feel really good in it.
Right? You just walk with a little more swagger.
Yeah, you have that extra pep in your step.
And similarly, when you feel confident in your pronunciation, you project that confidence in your interactions.
Yeah, and I also really appreciated how the video encouraged us to see challenges as opportunities for growth.
Yes. It's a mindset shift that can really transform your entire learning experience.
Yeah, it's about embracing the journey.
Yeah.
You know, the ups and downs, the mistakes, the triumphs.
It's all part of the process.
Yeah, it's all part of it. And it's about, you know, seeing each step as a learning experience. That brings us closer to our goals.
Absolutely. And you know that tip about studying mouth movements? It's pure gold.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a practical, hands-on approach to understanding the mechanics of pronunciation.
It's like we get to see behind the curtain
Exactly.
and see how the sausage is made, so to speak.
You know, by observing those subtle movements, we gain a deeper understanding of how sounds are produced and how we can replicate them ourselves.
I'm definitely going to be using that tip myself.
Me too.
It's such a simple yet effective technique.
It is. And it's a reminder that language learning can be fun. It can be engaging.
It doesn't have to be this boring, chore.
Right. It's about finding those moments of joy and discovery that make the learning process less like work and more like an adventure.
Exactly. So we've delved into the importance of practice-seeking feedback, embracing challenges, and even studying mouth movements. What other nuggets of wisdom did the video offer?
One final point that really resonated with me is this idea that true mastery of a language goes beyond simply sounding native.
Yeah, you can sound like a native speaker.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand the culture,
The context,
Yeah.
the unspoken rules
the nuance,
that give words their full meaning.
then you're not really mastering the language.
It's about connecting with people on a deeper level, appreciating the richness and nuances of their language and their way of life.
It's about becoming a global citizen, embracing diversity and building bridges of understanding
Beautifully said.
through language.
And this journey is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right? You got to be patient with yourself
Celebrate those small victories.
and never lose sight of the joy of learning.
And remember to have fun with it. Language learning should be a delightful experience, not a dreaded chore.
Yeah, it's like, you're exploring this new world.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you explore it, the more you realize how much more there is to discover.
And speaking of uncovering, the video reminds us that there are so many resources available to help us on this journey.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
There are so many apps and websites and courses and language exchange partners and
immersive travel experiences.
immersive travel.
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it's really amazing how much is out there now.
And it's about, finding those tools and strategies
Yeah.
that work best for you and creating that personalized learning plan.
Yeah, I think that's really important. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly.
So it's about finding what clicks for you.
Right. And it's about staying motivated, finding ways to keep the learning process fresh and exciting.
Yeah, because, motivation can come and go.
It can.
So it's important to have those things that kind of keep you going.
Absolutely. And speaking of motivation, the video highlights a really important point, the connection between language learning and personal growth.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about, learning a new skill, but it's about, expanding your horizons, challenging yourself,
Yeah.
becoming a more adaptable and resilient individual.
Learning a new language pushes us out of our comfort zones,
It does.
forces us to think in new ways.
Makes you, see the world from a different perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it develops our cognitive abilities, enhances our problem-solving skills, makes us more empathetic towards other cultures.
Yeah, it's like you're opening up this whole new world of possibilities,
Exactly.
both personally and professionally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So to kind of recap here, we talked about the importance of pronunciation active listening, mimicry embracing challenges, seeking feedback, the power of practice, and even the, profound impact that language learning can have on our personal growth.
Wow, that's quite a list.
It is.
It's been a truly immersive deep dive into the world of sounding like a native English speaker.
It has.
And I really hope that our listeners feel inspired and equipped to continue their journey with renewed confidence and enthusiasm.
Yeah, I think we've given them a lot to think about and a lot to work with.
Absolutely.
So one final thought that I want to leave our listeners with is this. Remember that the journey of language learning is continuous. It's not about reaching some destination. It's about embracing the process of discovery, growth, and connection that goes along with it.
Beautifully said. And never be afraid to experiment, make mistakes, and have fun along the way. That's where the real magic happens.
So we would love to hear from you. What are your personal strategies for sounding more like a native English speaker? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive, hit that like button. Subscribe to Learn and Talk English for more deep dives into the world of language learning. And stay tuned for our next episode.